Okay, so I know I said in my community post that there wouldn't be any more videos before my Bridge the Turnabout video, but I found this tier list when I was just looking around, and you guys loved this tier list so much that I did. I just uploaded it today. You'll be seeing this a couple days after I record this. It's doing so well. So you know what? I figured I'd give you one more. My Bridge the Turnabout video is coming. It's going to be 30 minutes at this point. It's what it's looking like. It's going to be a good time. Uh, Patreon will have it early if you're interested in that, but let's get into this video. We're going to do every Ace Attorney Trilogy case. I'll give my thoughts on them. I've already done a ranked video on all these. That was a while ago. Let's see if some of my opinions have changed. The first Turnabout, that's got to be C tier. Listen, you can't really rank the first Turnabout like you can other cases, right? Because it's a tutorial case, but it's also the first case in the series. So it's obviously not as good as like Turnabout Memories or Turnabout Trump from Apollo Justice or whatever the first case from the Great Ace Attorney Adventures is. I can't remember the name, but that case was really good too. So I'm just going to throw it in C tier. One day I'll make a case breakdown on it. I think maybe that'll be the next case I do after Bridge, so it's easy on me. But yeah, it's a fine enough tutorial case. Turnabout Sisters, it's another C tier case. It's okay. I think the villain of Red, someone in the comment section of my villain video made a good point. Red White was used too early, I think. A character like him, honestly, like with how powerful he is, could have been used in a final case even. But I understand his importance to the story and with the DL6 stuff that they wanted to tell in the first game. They didn't know there'd be any other games. But I think they used Red White too early. And it's just super run-of-the-mill because it's literally like they have to introduce investigations. It's kind of the same as the first Turnabout. They're introducing these things. They're still trying to get used to the world. You're introduced to investigations. You're introduced to spirit channeling. You're introduced to like talking to characters and whatnot, not just the trial mechanics and everything. So it's kind of hard to rank. Turnabout Samurai isn't that bad. It's a B tier case. It's not that bad. It's decent. It doesn't suffer from third case syndrome as much as the next two cases that are the third case after it nowadays, now that I think about it. I'm pretty sure in my third case syndrome video I ranked it as not my favorite, but I think it's my favorite third case now that I reflect back on it. D. Vasquez is a good killer. The story's tight, whatever. It introduces Old Bag, who's a recurring character in the series, so I mean, if your case introduces a character that stays on for a long time, you're doing something right. Goodbyes, clear S tier. This is going to be another one of the cases that is getting reviewed really soon, along with some Great Ace Attorney cases and maybe an Apollo Justice case or two. Goodbyes is special because it's the first finale, and they hit it straight out of the park. Ace Attorney is fun, don't get me wrong, but if they didn't nail that final case with the final story about Edgeworth, because this is Edgeworth's game, it's not Phoenix's game. A lot of people think that it's Phoenix Wright, so it must be about Phoenix Wright. It's not. It's about Miles Edgeworth. Got a whole video on that. It's a really early video on my channel if you go back and look at it. But what I'm trying to say is, if they didn't hit Goodbyes out of the park, the series was probably dead. Let's be honest here. Because as you can see here, I've ranked every first game case so far, and they're all middling. You know, there's nothing like A tier or anything. It's nothing awful, but it was just okay. I'm not sure if Capcom would have wanted to renew the series after that. But Goodbyes changed everything. Von Karma, horrifying. The final boss of Ace Attorney. By far. The toughest prosecutor any of our characters ever have to go against. That extends to Apollo. That extends to Athena. That extends to Ryunosuke back 100 years ago. He's Ace Attorney's final boss. Also introduces Lotta Hart, another recurring character, and she's not really that annoying. I like her. The investigation sections in this case don't drag either, and that's something that early Ace Attorneys always struggled with. They've really figured it out though with the Great Ace Attorney and whatnot. They really figured out how to not make investigations suck as much, and you could tell they knew that the investigation sections were boring by the time they got around to Justice for All because they added the Magatama and the Cyclops. So in the first game, the cases are dragged down a lot by the investigation, not even by the trials. And a case that is kind of dragged down by the investigations, and it's just its length, is Rise from the Ashes, which is going to go in A tier, not S tier. It's not quite up there. you've definitely seen my Rise from the Ashes video if you're watching this. I think this case is too long. And that's fine. It's a bonus case. They had everything they could put into it. Whatever. You don't need it to understand the story of the game. Although Edgeworth stuff makes more sense in Justice for All. It's a good case. Don't get me wrong. It's got some of my favorite moments. Cornering Gant is top tier with Edgeworth, especially the way the dynamic that those two have in this case. It's special. That Edgeworth and Nick have in this case, extremely special. Lana Skye, I wish she came back later, to be honest. Like, obviously she can't come back in the trilogy because I already wrote all that before they made Rise from the Ashes. But I think she could have made a return in Apollo Justice, or maybe even Dual Destiny, Spirit of Justice. Maybe she'll come back in Ace 27. And have a nice scene with them. I'd really like to see how those two react now that obviously their lives are completely changed. Okay, moving on. The Lost Turnabout. Bad. Again, it's a tutorial case, but I don't need it. I don't need a tutorial case after Justice for All. There's just not much to say about it. I do like Maggie Bird, actually. I won't even lie, I do like Maggie Bird, so that's the one redeeming quality. It's like an F+ just because of her. Reunion and Turnabout, A tier. This case is also definitely getting reviewed soon. This case is not even one of, the most important case in Justice for All and arguably the series. This sets up what happens in Bridge to the Turnabout. This introduces Pearl, this introduces Cyclops, it makes investigations not suck as much. And then on top of that, it's got a good villain, it's got a good, very compelling mystery, introduces Franziska, and I have issues with her. I said that I don't like her as much as Edgeworth or Gatto, but she's different and I get what they were going for. I don't hate it. I just don't like her as much. I think she kind of sucks in this game, to be honest. But it's okay, she's not bad enough to drag it down, and that's the important thing. If you're not going to make the game better, don't make it worse. And she doesn't make it worse, in my opinion. But yes, like I said, introduces Cyclops. Investigations are so much better in Justice for All and Trials and Tribulations because of it. And then they fell back off again a bit in Apollo Justice because Cyclops were gone. So investigations in 1 and 4 just kind of feel like, oh, I gotta go to this place and just get all this evidence so I can get to the actual fun part of the game. Investigations in Justice for All are like, okay, I gotta find out I can find out more about the mystery if I find evidence and I question these people that have Cyclops. So that's why Reunion and Turnabout is arguably the most important case in the series. It sets up Bridge to the Turnabout and fixes investigations. Crucial. Big Top's bad. It's just bad. It's just not, everybody knows it's not good. Some people like it. Like I said, I don't think any of these cases are like bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate any Ace Attorney case. It's just some of them are worse than others. So F tier, in my opinion, F tier here is meh. This is this is okay. This is decent. This is good, and this is goated. Okay, don't get me wrong. I've recently done a little video on Big Top to get me back in the swing of things, of making videos now that I'm out of college. It's just, I don't know, Big Top, it's sandwiched in between two of the best cases in the series. And it's just, I don't know, something's just wrong with it. The characters are annoying, the music is annoying, the murder plot does not make any sense. That it actually worked. The villain is sympathetic, kind of, but again, he wanted to kill a 16-year-old girl. There's no excuse for that. It was an accident what happened to Bat. And Franziska kind of drags this case down. Just a bit, because, you know, she cheats and whatnot. That's whatever. It's just, the whipping and the fool. Yeah, it's just, I can't deal with it sometimes. But it's not horrible. I don't really want to replay it or anything, but it's fine. If I have to replay it to get to this case, Farewell My Turnabout, yes I will. Just did a video on this, check it out if you somehow haven't seen it. This case is the most suffocating in the entire series. If you lose, Maya's dead. But if you win, someone innocent goes to prison. The YouTube channel Derpy Hero did a great breakdown on this case right after I did mine, where he mentioned what Phoenix chooses at the end between right before Franziska von Karma comes in with the evidence. He can either choose to go after Andrews, choose to go after On Guard. So basically justice or winning are his two options. And it doesn't matter what he picks. So in actuality, this case is about you discovering what the most important aspect of being a lawyer is. And that's something really special in my opinion. A case that speaks to the player a lot. Something quite unique, to be honest. Anyway, let's move on to Trials and Tribulations now. Let's see where these cases rank. Turnabout Memories. B tier, but like B+. Short, sweet, perfect backstory, introduces great characters. Playing as Mia is funny as hell. She's got some great pop culture references that even my 2003 19-year-old born ass can understand. So, it's not much to hate. The Stolen Turnabout with Look At Me. B, but like B next to Turnabout Samurai. Like, it's not elite. Good case, though. Don't get me wrong. Look At Me is great. He's a great villain. He's hilarious. I know I didn't put him S tier. I put him like B tier. But come on, he was going up against some titans in that tier list I did the other day. Come on. Don't even pretend like he's gonna be above some of those people. You can argue that he's above some of them. He's great, don't get me wrong. And this case is pretty good. Recipe. C tier. I can't. Victor Kudo sucks. He's a creepy old man. I hate it. Stop perving on Maya, please. She's like 19. That's weird. You're like 80. And he throws seeds at people. That's just weird. Furio Tigre is kind of redeeming. He's pretty funny. The way he gets caught is great. But it's just a throwaway case. You learn that Gato can't see red. That's it. Turnabout Beginnings. For just being a trial, I have to, because these two cases right here are both just trials. I have to put it above Memories. It's A tier. So the thing that I love about Beginnings is that it's the perfect like setup case for Bridge to the Turnabout. You need it to understand the plot. A lot of these cases, you don't need to understand the plot in this series. Big Top, don't need it. The first Turnabout, you don't really need it. They could introduce Larry later. This case, definitely don't need it. The Lost Turnabout, sorry. But a lot of these cases are essential to the plot, and those ones are very special. And this one might be the most essential, right there with Tutu. It's so important, and it's like a good mystery. It finds a way to perfectly intertwine the backstories of all of the characters in the game perfectly. You'll see it in my Bridge to the Turnabout video. But this case, and Turnabout Goodbyes, and Reunion and Turnabout intertwine everything together through the DL6 incident at some point. And finally, Bridge to the Turnabout. I'll be talking about it soon, so I'm not going to say too much here. Stay tuned for that. Again, it'll be out early on Patreon for $5 a month. Check that out if you want. Best case in the trilogy. Best case in the trilogy, easily. Has the most emotional highs, has the most... Okay, not the most emotional lows. I think Farewell My Turnabout has the most emotional lows. But Bridge has the most emotional highs, the second most emotional lows. Fantastic characters. A plot that you're really invested in. I'll tell you why it's better than these two finale cases. Goodbyes, you're invested because of Edgeworth, right? But that's like, okay, he's not Phoenix. I like him, but he's not Phoenix, whatever. Farewell, you're invested because of Maya, right? Like, oh my god, Maya's gonna die, right? Okay, that's terrible. You are really invested for that case. It's number 2 in that sense. But Bridge to the Turnabout, you're invested because you've been following these characters for like years at this point in their lives. The games take place over about 3 years, and they were released within 3 years as well. Or 4 years, I guess, technically. You've been following the story of the Faye family since Case 2, basically, of the first game. You've been following the story of Phoenix since day 1, the story of Edgeworth since Case 2. You've even been following the story of Franziska since the second game. Then Gado is great. He's great in his game. He's in one game and he leaves a lasting impact. Dahlia's the most recurrent villain, definitely. And she's good. Don't get me wrong, she's good. It pays off playing the games before it. One of the things you could argue that like the other cases in these games don't do is they don't really reward you for playing the games before them per se. Like obviously you won't know the characters if you don't, but Bridge, in order for it to have the most impact, you need to have played every case, been invested in all these characters. It's just the perfect finale. I might have to steal what I just said here for my script because I've got to finish the script. I got about 2,000 more words to go, which is another 10 minutes of content. But anyways, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed, let me know. Subscribe, check out the Patreon again, I'm pushing it now, I'm sorry guys. Thank you.